Hello everyone, Shaetan with another, I guess, installment of my MLG Providence replay coverage. This time we have a ZvZ from Championship Bracket 3, it looks like. We have on Shattered Temple, the red Zerg in the south position reigns Slush, and in the north position, cross map, spawning as the blue Zerg, the god of Zerg, 3-time GSL champion, QIM's Nestea. So this match is very, very interesting to me, at least personally. We have Nestea, who is, I would say, probably undisputed best ZvZ player, best Zerg player, probably, you could argue, in the world right now. His ZvZ, he has lost, I think, a total of 2 series ever before MLG Providence, 1 to Boom Boom, 1 to Damaga, and in a matchup that a lot of people are calling coin flippy, having that high of a win rate is an accomplishment in and of itself. But on the other hand, we have Slush, who he plays a very, very odd style of StarCraft 2, especially his Zerg versus Zerg. I think it was Slush who, in one of the MLGs, I saw him go 1 base Infester, or 1 base Burrowed Infester, and just do a lot of damage with that style. So, you know, maybe he has something wacky built up that'll catch Nestea by surprise. The players are not aware of, or they're indirectly aware of where their opponents are spawning, but they don't know what their opponents are doing. However, this isn't stopping either of them from going hatch first, so we see both of them with a 15 hatch, and Slush, both of them actually, are going to make additional harvesters, Slush getting an extractor right away, Nestea making another drone, and then Slush following it up, or Nestea making another drone, Slush as well. So both players playing very, very greedy. I'm kind of surprised by this. In a situation where you spawn close by air, your Overlord can sort of position themselves over your opponent's hatchery, and so you'll be able to ascertain what your opponent is doing, and you can be very greedy with that style. But if you don't know what your opponent is doing, like right now, Nestea could be 10-pooling Slush, and those Zerglings would maybe be spotted right around now, and it would be almost a build order loss for Slush. But, you know, it worked out in this case, both players on even footing. Nestea also getting his gas a little bit after his opponent, so Slush will have a bit faster of Zergling speed. We'll see. The general rule in ZvZ is if you go gas before pool, you're going to be going for speedlings and banelings. At least this holds true from what I've seen. But if you go gas after pool, you want to go for some type of roaches. Banelings are a lot of times in a 2-base versus 2-base scenario, you see a baneling that's being dropped down, because otherwise any sort of big 2-base speedling all-in can prove devastating just because of the way the larva mechanism works. You're not going to have enough units to defend if you haven't been constantly making units, which you don't want to do. So you make the banelings to be safe against that, but sort of as a counter to that, roach openings can stop baneling openings, because the roaches can target the banelings, speedlings against speedlings, but roaches don't fare too well against the speedling opening. So it's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors once the very, very early game gets through with. But it looks like neither player has made the decision for what they're going to do. Slush has pulled guys off of gas, so it doesn't look like we'll be seeing any banelings from him for a while. Meanwhile, Nestea is continuing to mine gas, and now we see a roach horn going down from him. He'll have enough for, I don't know, maybe 8 roaches if he continues to mine heavily, and that'll keep him pretty safe from really anything that his opponent throws at him. So Slush is getting this second spine crawler down, which is kind of odd. I wonder what he sees. So Slush, he sees the hatchery. He doesn't see anything else. I wonder what sort of caused this second spine crawler to be thrown on. Maybe he's just trying to play safe. You know, you're playing one of the best players in the world. Like, if you're going to be going for a macro game against them, you should probably try and be safe. So maybe that's what Slush is going for. I'm not 100% sure. We do see that Slush is going for this big old mass speedling opening. So this can be devastating. Over on Nestea's side of things, we see that he does not have really all that much to show for it. He will be able to make roaches, probably about 6 of them maybe, once these overlords pop out, and it looks like there are 4 roaches on the way, but now the Zerglings are rolling in. Nestea is forced to pull basically everything back in the main. Nice little wall off but with his queen and his Zerglings, one queen is going to go down, but the second queen will hold the line. More Zerglings are coming in, and it looks like this queen will get surrounded, and it's going to go down, but we now see that there are 4 Zerglings coming out. All of these drones are going to have to be used in defense as well, though we see Nestea kind of just moving them as much as he can, and he's going to be able to sacrifice a few. He's not too far behind right now. He is down about 6 drones compared to his opponent. They were even beforehand, basically, and it looks like Slush's attack is going to get held off. In the meantime, behind this, Slush has been making drones. He's now up about 10 drones on his opponent, but that's the thing about ZvZ. So in most other matchups, there's a very, very strong defensive unit that can control space very well. So in ZvT, you can't just hold off an attack and go counterattack if you don't have a lot of units, because siege tanks can control space very well. In ZvP, force fields function in the same role, but in ZvZ, if you just overmake units, a lot of times you can just go attack your opponent and win, because of the way that, if your opponent has been overmaking drones, they're not going to have the larva to make units and hold off your attack. But it doesn't look like Nestea is going to be going for that. He's trying to take out the rocks at his gold base. He was working on these rocks a little bit as well. So Nestea just going into a macro game. We see that he's actually not making all that many more drones. He's just recently begun drone production, finally catching up to his opponent. And Slush is a little bit scared. He's making these 4 spine crawlers. And we see that, okay, so he's getting the 2 gas here, 2 gas here. He's getting his lair, so he has 4 gas. Probably going to be seeing Mutalisks from Slush. Mutas are a fairly new development in the ZvZ metagame. We see there was a bit of a run-by from Slush. It looks like he is going to get the queen, but not any workers, it looks like. So no workers killed by Slush, but he was able to get a queen, which is a nice blow because that means Nestea's production is going to be hurt a little. Nestea also was not able to take his 3rd base, so it's going to be even on bases. Nestea is very, very, very far behind in tech. His lair is just recently started. He is also going for his 4 gases, so I would think it would be really, really cool to see Nestea, really the guy who popularized Mutalisks in ZvZ against Losira, see what he would do in a Mutalisk ZvZ. If we look, Nestea actually has the lead in supply. He has a few more drones. Slush actually is stopping making drones. He's favoring making more speedlings, which, it's an interesting decision because when you're going for Mutalisk, you're going to have a lot of extra minerals. Why not dump them into Zerglings? Make sure you're safe if your opponent tries to go for some type of a roach bust. These spine crawlers can only do so much. Slush, meanwhile, he's taking out his gold rocks. He's taking out his back rocks. Nestea's taken his 3rd base before his opponent, but Slush is going to have, it looks like, about 11 or 12 Mutalisks popping out, and that's going to give him the map control so that he can take, he could do a double expand if he wants to, just because those Mutalisks are going to be able to do so much damage to any sort of army that's coming out from Nestea to sort of punish him. And Nestea, his Spire has just recently started. It's about a 5th of the way done. So I'm really interested to see how Nestea decides to approach this. Does he have an Evo Chamber? He does have an Evo Chamber. No Spore Crawlers up, though. He's making an extra queen. Does he know that Mutalisks are out? It doesn't look like he knows. He doesn't know that the Spire... Where is the Spire? He doesn't know the Spire is up. There is a bit of an engagement in the middle right here. Nestea is poking around with his units, but he's down. Well, now he's even on supply. He's making a lot of Zerglings, but 12 Mutalisks are on the way for Slush. Slush is also just kind of running around with these Zerglings, doing as much as he can. He might be able to take out this 3rd base. That would be a really, really nice blow if he could. I think Nestea's going to be forced to cancel. No, he lets it complete, but this looks like it is just going to die. So that means that Nestea's going to be on 2 base against a... Slush is still on 2 bases as well. I guess he decided, you know what, I'm going to take out both of these. I'm going to take out the gold rocks, and then I'm not going to expand. But finally, the Mutalisks are out. It looks like Slush is going to be able to kill a lot of Overlords. Nestea is dropping so many Spore Crawlers. It looks like there's 2 in the main, 2 in the natural. He has now, it looks like, only 2 queens. 1 queen is going to get taken out with ease. Meanwhile, Nestea is also just going for the all-in counterattack with his Zerglings. There's not really all that much from Slush other than these 5 spine crawlers, and there was a hole right here that's going to allow the Zerglings just to come into the main. They're going to be able to take out so many drones. If we look at the Harvester's kill tab, that is just going to steadily go up. And that attack is actually going to force Slush to pull back with his Mutalisk, which is a bit of an interesting choice, I suppose. That's almost it was forced by Nestea just because otherwise his base would have basically died. There was no defense in the main, but that sort of push is going to allow Nestea to get up his own Mutalisk. He's going to have 14 against the 19 of Slush. Nestea killed about 4 drones, not all that many, but he was able to get up his own third base before Slush got up his, which I'm very surprised by because Slush had a lot of openings to take that third base. But things have kind of reset, and we are going into a Muta-Muta battle, and I love this. Nestea is getting Carapace, which is really what you want to do in a Muta-Muta battle. Carapace should always be your preferred upgrade over attack because the Carapace is going to affect that initial damage that your Mutalisk takes, which means that every bounce attack coming off of that initial attack is also going to do less damage. And when your Mutalisks are clumped up, as Mutas are wont to do, that means that your Mutas will just last a lot longer than your opponents. We also see now they're even on Mutalisks, but once that Muta Carapace, once the air Carapace finishes, Nestea is just going to be in a very, very commanding lead in terms of this air battle. And if you want to see another example of this ZvZ style, see what happens when you see air attack versus air Carapace upgraded. Go watch TLO versus Spinny Shua, game number 3, I think, on Shakur's Plateau, and you'll see really the power of Carapace in air battles. But we see 24 Mutalisks versus 19. Nestea is continuing to make more. He is getting Spore Crawlers up. If we look at the Harvesters, they're still about even, mid-40s. Both players have their gold bases up. They're kind of just running around doing as much as they can with the Mutalisk. Slush is treating this almost like Brood War with the way that he's microing his Mutalisk. The Mutalisk battle, it looks like 18 to 15 for Slush, but Slush is forced to pull back because these Queens are adding in their own DPS, and the Queens really made a bit of a difference there. The Queen, as well as I think a shot or two from the Spore Crawler, made the Mutalisk count go slightly into Nestea's favor right now, and Nestea is continuing to make Mutalisk. It looks like Slush is just massing up Zerglings. He's going to be up to about 30 or 40 Zerglings. And now we see Slush beginning to get some Spore Crawlers. The Mutalisks are going to come in, take out both the Queens, and then he should get out of there. He doesn't want to take any more damage than he needs to, but it looks like he lost the Mutalisk there as well, for really just the cost of 2 Queens. So Nestea probably feeling fairly happy right now with the way this game is developing. His opponent is like not continuing to make Mutalisks all that constantly. We do finally see 5 on the way from him, as well as a 4th base being taken, but this Zergling run by doesn't look like it's going to do all that much. The Mutalisks are defending their drone children like hawks. These Zerglings are just running around. They're trying to do as much as they can, but it's a fairly small area for Mutalisks to defend. So he should be fine. They are going to run into the main, of course, because you know Slush and Nestea just likes to prove me wrong. They do split off. So where did these? God damn it! It looks like Slush did a big old Mutalisk harass in the main, maybe? Or some type of something that took out all of these drones. So in terms of drones, we see 40 to 52, Slush holding the lead, 30 kills, 30 worker kills for Slush. So nice there, but we see that Nestea, you know, not all that far behind. He still does have the Mutalisk lead. He also has the +1 Carapace complete. His opponent has started +1 air attack, but it doesn't look like that's, you know, anywhere near completing. It just recently started. But the longer that this game goes on, the worse it's going to get for Nestea, because Slush has taken this 4th base. He's up about 12 drones. He is up on a Mutalisk, and I think if he realizes that you know, he should be getting Carapace, that'll make the air battle go in his favor, and he'll just be able to reinforce with whatever he so chooses much, much quicker than Nestea does. And we can see that increased economy really telling the story in terms of this the supply count. But let's look at the Muta count. This is the importance of Carapace. We see the supply count. So Slush had the bigger Muta Ball, I believe, or even if he didn't, it was very, very close. But we can see that Nestea ended up with a +5 differential on that. His Mutalisk just destroyed Slush's Mutalisk simply because he had +1 Carapace and his opponent did not. And now Nestea is starting his own +1 fire attack. I'm kind of curious as to why you chose that versus Carapace level 2. Maybe you don't get as big of a return. But there was a little bit of a Zergling run by from Nestea. It didn't really kill anything. But now his Mutalisks are just going to be able to come in. They're going to be able to kill all of the drones here. There are no Spore Crawlers. pick off any Mutalisks that are popping out from the main, and with this big old air lead, Slush has really no choice but to go in and try and do a counterattack, but we see that there's 2 Spore Crawlers right here, 2 with the natural as well, so he's going to be able to defend a lot more effectively than Nestea is, but Nestea is coming back with his Mutalisk. He is not happy that his drone children are being killed, and he almost intercepts Slush. He's going to force an engagement right here, and if we look at the Mute account, wow. I'm kind of surprised that Slush left so early rather than wait for the Muta battle to finish. But, I mean, Nestea had the advantage going in. He had +0/+1 versus +0/+0. So Nestea takes game number 1 after being almost on the back foot for a lot of that game. You know, Nestea, though, he is very resilient, was able to make a comeback. So let's move to game number